Hello everyone. Today we are going to see the software development life cycle. So in the first video we have seen the software development life cycle for waterfall model. So today we'll be seeing the software development life cycle based on the Boehm's spiral model. So this is the Boehm's spiral model. As you can see in the diagram, the it is, as we said, it is spiral in the sense each phase, okay, we are going to execute it simultaneously. When I say simultaneously, in the waterfall model, how we were going, one phase will be completed, then after finishing the first phase we are shifting to the second phase. But here in the Boehm's spiral model, we determine the requirement. So you can see there are four phases, that is determine objectives, then we are going to identify and resolve risk, then development and testing, plan the next iteration. So this we are going to follow the four steps in Boehm's spiral model, and it's not that it has to be in sequence, because whenever the requirement comes, accordingly we'll be following these four phases. Okay, so this is the Boehm's spiral model. So this is a risk driven software development process. Why we say risk driven? Because we are going to add new requirements anytime. So there is a risk of adding new requirement, adding a cost budget, adding new things, every updation of the software. So that's why we are saying that it is a risk driven. So this spiral model, Boehm's spiral model, was mentioned by Barry Boehm in 1986. So it has some advantages compared to the waterfall model. Okay, so this will adopt software development elements of multiple process models. So this is not restricted to a small project which can finish in a month or a two. So this here in the Boehm's spiral development, using the Boehm's spiral model, software can be enhanced for a year. Why I am saying year? Because new requirement keeps on adding, okay, and they are not going to affect the earlier work what we have done. Okay, so here each phase of spiral model begins with a design goal and ends with the client reviewing the process. So that is how the process works. So we will see the working process of each phase here. Okay, the first phase, planning. So we have seen the first phase of the waterfall model, which was the requirement phase, and the second phase was design phase. Okay, so here the planning is similar to the first phase of the waterfall model. So here in the planning phase we are going to collect the requirement. It's not that we are going to take all the requirements at once. Whatever idea the customer has, they can share with us. Okay, so that part, only that part will be considered. Okay, so the cost related to that, developing that much part, how much time is required, what are the resource, what are the software, everything will be planned in the first phase. Okay, so here there will be a continuous communication when the planning is happening. Again, if we are left with some requirement, again the customer can give the input, again that can be planned here. Okay, so new requirements can be added in the planning phase. Okay, then comes the risk analysis. So in the risk analysis we are going to analyze the different phases. What are the requirements, how the SRS will be created. So as I told, it is like the design phase. Okay, everything will be considered, they will be made in they will be SRS documented, that is software requirement specification we are going to make. We are going to design some architecture diagrams. Okay, different diagrams will be generated based on the requirement. Okay, so that, and what will be the problems, issues, okay, cost issue, worker human resource issue, everything will be analyzed in the second phase, that is risk analysis. Okay. The third will be the engineering, or we can say the how the say development and test phase. The engineering phase is nothing but the development and test. Okay, so here different phases of the waterfall model have been combined here. That is, the implementation and integration phase of the waterfall model have been combined in this engineering, or the say development and test phase. Okay, so here the coding part is going to happen. The small parts, the units will be developed, they will be combined together, and they will be tested here. Okay, even we can test it on the customer location also. Okay, because we are not developing the software at once, different modules. If a small module is developed and it will be handed over to the customer, okay, so that will be tested, so customer can start working on that one. Okay, so that is what happens in the third phase. The fourth is the evaluation. So here the evaluation phase will say specify what the customer, how the customer is going to work. The after evaluating means it will go evolve, that is new versions can be upgraded based on the customer requirements, based on the customer phase. So here in the evaluation, the software will be deployed to the customer. The customer is going to work on that one. The customer, once the customer start working, some issues may come, say some new requirement may arise. Okay, so as customer is going to make the note of it, and again it will be handed over to the development team. So based on the new requirement, again the all these different phases will be followed. Okay, so this Boehms spiral model, it's not that one phase has to be completed and we have to shift to the next phase. No, because new requirements will be coming. So based on the new requirements, all the phases can be followed. Okay, so this Boehms spiral model contains 4 different phases. Okay, so now we'll see the advantages and disadvantages. So waterfall model was limited to small project, but as I told, in the Boehms spiral model, the development can take a longer period. So it is best suited for large projects, okay, which can be developed as and when, that is, as the new requirements come, it can be used. Okay, the first one is the additional functionality or changes can be done at later stages, means new requirements can be added up. Cost estimation becomes easy as the prototype building is done in small fragments. Okay, so once the cost estimation, it's not that one at a time we need to invest. No, so based on the requirement we can allocate the cost for that one. Then continuous or repeated development helps in risk management. So different phases, as and when we are going to execute, so different risks are going to come, we can easily manage it. Development is fast and features are added in a systematic way in spiral development. So new requirements can be added. There is always a space for customer feedback, in the sense the customer can give the reviews, because it is given to the customer, the software will be handed to the customer. The software can say get some new risk, get some new requirements, and he is going to send the feedback. Okay, so these are the advantages. Next comes the disadvantages. Here, risk of not meeting the schedule or budget. There is a risk that we may not finish the software in time, or sometime the cost may become more, because it will happen because of the continuous development process will be there, new requirements are coming, so that problem will be there in the, that is the schedule or budget we may overcross it. Then spiral development work best for large projects only also demands risk assessment expertise. So it is good for large projects. Small project, sometime it may, because the first problem may arise, So it is good for large project. It's for its smooth operation, the spiral model protocol needs to be followed strictly. So we have to analyze, or in different phases we have to do the particular work very strictly. Documentation is important here. The fourth disadvantage is documentation is more as it has intermediate phase, because the document will provide the input for the next phase. So documentation is very important. So spiral software development is not advisable for smaller projects, as it might cost them a lot. So this was regarding the Boehm's spiral model, and this is how the Boehm's spiral model will be followed. You can see we are going to determine objectives. In that one we are going to plan, then identify and resolve risk. That is, we are going to develop different prototypes and we are going to resolve them. Prototype in the sense different models. Okay. Then in the third phase, development and test, all the testing, that is unit, as I told, unit means small part will be done, or the say output based testing will be done, implementation is going to done. And in the fourth part, plan the next iteration. Plan the next iteration in the sense, what else, so what new feature can be added to the software. So that will be done in the fourth phase. Okay. So this is the Boehm's spiral model.